Now we're going to talk about setting up regular users in MySQL. Remember, users in MySQL are different than users in your operating system. You may log into your computer using a particular username and password. MySQL requires a separate login for its purposes with a separate username and password. MySQL uses a complex and flexible access privilege system. It's possible to grant very specific privileges to particular users on individual databases and on individual systems or across the system. Because the privilege system is so powerful, it's important that you set up users carefully so that they have the privileges that they need to do their job, but you're still able to prevent costly abuse and accidents. Keep in mind that users are not necessarily people. They can be programs or other processes as well. I think of them as roles, so that I may have a web user that's for web-based applications like the SID application, or an admin account that I'll use for my day-to-day administrative work. Users are distinguished by both username and host name, so user at localhost is different than user at somedomain.com. So let's go ahead and start up the MySQL command line client. Double-click on the shortcut that we created earlier and type MySQL -u root-p. So that'll use the root user, and it'll ask for the password, which we set up in the last lesson. It's foo.bar. Now we're in the MySQL command line client, and we're as the root user, so we can do dangerous things. Now this is probably the last time we're going to use the root user, because one of the things we'll do here is set up the admin user, which we'll use for administrative work in the future. I'm going to go ahead and create two users, one of them for web work and one for administrative work. Create user web at localhost, and create user admin at localhost. Now by using the at localhost syntax, that means that these users are restricted to operating from the local host. If they connect into this computer from another computer, either on the local network or out on the internet, this login will not work. You would need a separate user account for outside of this computer. Now the users have been created, but they have no privileges, so you can't use them. We need to create privileges for these users. Once a user is created, you grant privileges using the grant statement. For the web user, you need all the basic data permissions plus permissions necessary for managing a database. So this is everything except the administrative purposes. Now these privileges get specified individually, so there's a bit of typing here. Let's go ahead and type the command. Grant, select, comma, space, insert, comma, space, update, comma, space, delete, create, drop, file, index, alter, create temporary tables, create view, show view, create routine, alter routine, execute on star.star to web at localhost, semicolon. So this is a number of privileges listed individually, each one separated by a comma and a space. And these privileges are granted on star.star, which means that the user can use these privileges on all the tables in all the databases. To web at localhost, which grants these privileges to the web user on localhost that we set up a few minutes ago. So I'll hit enter. And we'll go ahead now and grant privileges to the admin user. Now this is a bit easier because the admin user gets all privileges, and there's a shortcut for that. Grant all on star.star. So that grants all privileges on all tables in all databases to admin at localhost with grant option. And that means that not only are all of these privileges granted to this user, but this user also has the privilege of granting privileges to other users. Go ahead and hit enter. And now we'll issue the flush privileges command. And we remember what this does is it tells the MySQL database management system to go ahead and read the privileges from the database again so that these privileges can be used right away. Now we'll go ahead and assign passwords to these two users. And we do that in the user table the same way that we did it for the root user. Update MySQL.user set password equals password, and I'm just going to make it foo.baz instead of foo.bar, where user equals web, and we'll do the same for the admin. I'm just going to hit the up arrow and go ahead and admin. You wouldn't do this in the real world, but for our purposes for demonstration, I'm just setting the password to the same for both of them. And there we go. Now I need to flush privileges again. Now we flush privileges, and now let's go ahead and test them. Try the web user first, and you see it needs a password, so we'll say -p. I like to test things without the password just to make sure. And go ahead and type the password, foo.baz. And there we are, we're in. And if I say show databases so we can see that it's working and it has authorization to the system, go ahead and exit and try the admin user. And again, it doesn't work without the password. -p, type the password, and there we are, show databases. And we can see that that works. All right, so that's how we set up the users, and you would go through that same process for any other users that you may have.